Good morning. Welcome to the new video series, Ringgold Rapid Responses. I am Patricia Klein, historian of the Ringgold Band. In this series, we usually meet members of the Ringgold Band and the New Horizons Band, but today we have a special guest, Jari Villanueva. Welcome, Jari.
Well, thank you so much. I'm really honored to be here. I've attended the East Coast Band Conference now for a couple years. I've really enjoyed hearing all the presentations done there, and even more so enjoyed sitting in with that, great, fabulous historic band. As you know, I'm here today, and thank you for inviting me to talk a little bit about the special event that we have coming up on Memorial Day. As you know, each Memorial Day, Americans pause to remember those who have served in uniform and those who have died in service to our nation. And this year, of course, with the health crisis, there's been a few changes. Memorial services, parades, wreath-laying ceremonies, cemetery gatherings have all been canceled because of the pandemic. So what I decided to do was to try and get buglers involved throughout the country to sound taps at 3 o'clock as part of the National Moment of Remembrance. And we're calling this event Taps Across America. And we set up a website on a sign-in on our website, Taps for Veterans. And by the way, Taps for Veterans is the organization that myself and Mark Paredes, who is a bugler who lives in New Jersey, we both run this organization. It's a national organization that helps provide live bugling at military funerals, because so often you have a recording that's played, and a lot of times they use that digital bugle. So we decided it would be great to get buglers from around the nation to help us out and provide that service. So Taps for Veterans is sponsoring this event. And we've done several events in the past. We got really started back in 2012 when we did the 150th anniversary of TAPS, birth of a bugle call, the birth of our national bugle call. Then in 2013, we sponsored a big event at Arlington National Cemetery for the 50th commemoration of the John F. Kennedy funeral. And that was a very well-attended event. We had family members of the bugler who sounded taps there. We had the original bagpipes. They came back and performed. Then in November of 2018, we commemorated the end of World War I with an event called Sounds of Remembrance, where we had buglers actually not only in the United States, but from around the world who sounded last post or taps. And we had almost 800 participants for that event. And it was really well received. So this year, we were thinking, as we were heading into Memorial Day, with the usual things that Taps for Veterans does. And that specific one, by the way, is the 100 Nights of Taps, which is held in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Every night, a bugler sounds taps at 7 p.m. This starts on Memorial Day and goes all the way to Labor Day with a different bugler to sound the call. And these buglers travel from all over the United States just to do this the service. However, of course, that has been postponed by the National Park Service. So what we've decided to do is do it virtually. So I got the idea, well, 100 Nights of Taps, of course, would now be done virtually. Why can't we get buglers from around the nation, taps across America to sound the call at 3 p.m. It's been very successful right now. We put a video up on YouTube. We have our registration page set up on tapsforveterans.org. If you go there and look at the top, you'll see right along the top, Taps Across America, the National Moment of Remembrance. And if you click on it, you can find out more information about what we're doing and also a chance to sign up. And as of this morning, we've reached the 700 mark.
That's
So we
awesome.
have.
That's one of the reasons I have you on today. I happened to run across your site because you're connected to the Ringgold East Coast Band Conference. And I thought, wow, that's something that we can help promote with. As a community band, we of course have cornets and trumpets in our band that could do this, and many community bands, many musicians are looking for something to do, something to honor the veteran. As you said, Memorial Day parades are canceled. I know in our own town, it ends up in the cemetery and it always ends with a bugle call. But my question is, can a trumpet player play the bugle call, or must it be a true bugle?
Absolutely. A trumpet player can sound the call of taps as well as a bugle. Doesn't necessarily have to be performed by a bugle. Originally, the call was written as a bugle call, but I'll be honest with you, looking at the people who have registered for this, I've seen flute players, clarinet players, baritone horn players, saxophone players who've signed up to do this.
So all instruments are welcome?
Well, why not? And the reason being is that the bugle call of taps has transcended the military. Taps is a call that has always had a dual purpose. One, to signal lights out at the end of the day at 10 o'clock, and that's how it was originally conceived. And then, of course, as our call that sounded at military funerals. So when the call is performed at a military funeral with a casket and the flag over that, it really should be performed by a bugler or a trumpet player. But as you well know, in community bands and for folks who've grown up musically all their lives, they've known, like when they've gone to summer camps or they've been involved with scouts, taps has always been performed. Almost everyone who talks about their summer camp experience, they will always talk about, oh yes, and a trumpet player or a bugler sounded taps in the evening. The Boy Scouts have used bugles and have sounded taps. As a scout, I always, when I was a kid, I always would end our meetings with the sounding of taps. The Girl Scouts actually end their meetings with the singing of taps, singing "Day is Done."
Yes, you did. I was a Girl Scout, and that is true.
And it's wonderful. So, in a way, the call of taps has transcended the military. It has now become part of our American culture, even more so in this times of the COVID-19 pandemic. I have noticed that there are a lot of buglers who are going out now at 7 p.m. every evening and sounding the call for their neighborhood. There's a Marine veteran who lives in the Bronx, who lives in in Queens. He lives in an apartment building, like on the 12th floor. Every night at 7 o'clock, he goes out on his balcony and he sounds the call. And I'm hearing more and more stories about buglers who are going out to the front lawns and sounding the call. And that gave us the idea for taps across America. At 3 o'clock, the traditional time when Americans are supposed to pause for 1 minute of silence, we thought it would be very appropriate to have a bugler sound that call. They can do it on their front porch, their driveway, their lawn. We're telling people, encouraging everyone not to gather a crowd, because of the social distancing. Let your neighbors know that this is going to happen. Maybe they can come out on their front porch and driveway and listen to the call being sounded at 3 p.m. And this is a really wonderful thing to do because it will help unify neighborhoods. It brings communities together because when they hear the call of taps, they know it's a wonderful melody. It brings about a feeling of peace and assurance that everything is okay.
I'm a band director, and I obviously teach trumpet classes. I usually do some military calls as part of our trumpet history and learning, and taps is obviously in there. Usually, I will admit, we start in the lower key of G, 1 and 3, until they can hit those high Gs in the key of open C. But we talk about it open on the bugle, no valves. But they have 2 versions, the beginner version and the advanced version. But that is actually
that's terrific
curriculum.
Right, and there is no real set key of taps, because back during the Civil War and through the late 19th century, the call has been sounded on different pitched instruments, whether it be a trumpet in G, a field trumpet in G, a bugle in B flat. There are also trumpets in F and E flat, so that they would play that call and it would sound in that key. And of course, as you mentioned, for beginners, playing it in B flat concert, all valves open, creates a little challenge for those high notes. So as for beginners, playing it with the first and second valve down is fine, and that works very well. And the main thing, of course, is to play the call with conviction and to play it in a solemn manner. That's the most important thing. And also, it's really, well, it's pretty important to me, being a historian, is that we play the call correctly with the correct rhythm. And if you go to tapsbugler.com, you'll find information about how to sound the call correctly. We also have protocol there written out for those people when listening to the call, because one of the questions I get quite a bit is, well, what am I supposed to do when I hear the bugle call of taps? Am I supposed to remain seated? What happens? Am I supposed to stand? Do I salute? And the easy answer is this. You treat the sounding of taps the same way you would the national anthem. That is, that if you're outside, you would stand and you would face the music. Place your hand over your heart. If you were in a military uniform outside, you would render the hand salute. Military personnel inside would just stand at attention, and then everyone else would stand. And it's optional to put your hand over your heart if you're inside. But it's basically the same thing. And this all came about, the protocol for this came about when Congress designated taps as our national song of remembrance back in 2013. That was the work of Taps for Veterans. We actually helped push that through Congress, and it's actually now in the national code. Unfortunately, what did not make it into it was the protocol that we had printed out about how to react when you hear the call. But that's the proper thing to do when you hear taps.
For all our fans out there, we will post the website and the information at the end of this video so that you can learn more and participate in this wonderful program.
I hope that we have a lot of people who will participate. I will also mention that I've been in talks with CBS News. Steve Hartman, who does the Sunday morning program, contacted me the other day, and I just did an interview with them yesterday. And they were talking about coming up with an idea of having buglers sound taps at 3 p.m. on Monday as part of the National Moment of Remembrance. And so when they found out that I was already way ahead of them, they have decided to partner up with us. So there'll be information. In fact, the Facebook pages for a lot of community bands should have received a notice, a PDF from CBS News about Taps Across America, how they're partnering up with Taps for Veterans for this very special event. And the great thing about this is that after performers play sound taps, if you have recorded it, you can upload it to CBS News, or you can upload it to our Facebook page, Taps for Veterans events that we've set up. And it's going to be really easy. If you register at Taps for Veterans to sound taps on Memorial Day, you'll be getting an email on Sunday evening that will describe how to upload your video. And it's very, very easy. You just go to our website with the link that we'll provide. You just fill in the information and click on upload to your video. It goes directly to YouTube, which is a great thing. We've got it all figured out. I have a great IT folks who've worked this out, and we've tested it a few times, and it works for both cell phones and also from desktops. So it's not a requirement to video yourself playing taps, but if you feel like you'd like to, and you'd like to have it on CBS News as part of their program on taps, and also have it on our YouTube channel, please, it would be great, because that way people from around the world will be able to hear your rendition of taps.
That sounds like an awesome program, Jari.
Well, thank you.
I am Patricia Klein, the historian of the Ringgold Band, and I hope you found today's session very informative. Again, you will find the information we talked about on the link below, and get out those trumpets and bugles and instruments, and let's all be part of this wonderful program. Bye.